Hello. I used to be the envy of all my neighbors with a gorgeous lawn. I used to say it looked like a golf course, but not anymore. That's not my yard, that's my neighbor's yard. They don't envy me anymore because look at mine now. Why? Because I've hired affordable lawn care service in Mechanicsville, Virginia. Just so you know, it's these guys. This is what their website looks like. There's multiple affordable lawn care services, so I'm only talking about the one in Mechanicsville, Virginia, that's on McClellan Road or Westwood Road. They even say on their website, our dedication to service, quality, and client satisfaction shows in our work. Boy, is that the truth. I purchased their deluxe service. With that, they fertilize my yard 6 times a year. They do weed control 7 times. I'd only been using the Scott system 4 times a year, so I thought, wow, with all that fertilizing and weed control, it would look great. But instead, I have a remarkable number of species of weeds that just flourish in my yard now. And as you can see, it's really not that green anymore compared to my neighbors. Hey, sweetie, let me ask a 10-year-old. How does Daddy feel after hiring affordable lawn care service?
He feels like a sucker.
That's right. And you too can feel like a sucker. Look, it's a dum-dum. How appropriate. And that's how I feel now after hiring them.
Can I go practice soccer?
You sure can. Run around, but be careful for all the tire tracks in the yard that you don't trip and fall on them. Their deluxe service features lawn mowing for only $25 per cut, priced at 30 times a year. I thought $25 a cut was a really good deal, so I hired them. When you consider the grass would only be cut 1 to 2 times in April, nothing in January, February, March, 20 times in April, when you add up 30 times, that means they should be cutting your grass through late November if they cut it every week. Wow, what a great deal. Now to hire them, they take the price of all of that, divide it by 12, and you have to pay that every month. Like it or not, every month you pay that. Well, Affordable won't tell you when they come out to cut the grass. So they don't say, hey, we come out every Monday or every Wednesday. They just come out when they come out. So they might come out Monday of one week. The next week they might come out Wednesday. The next week it might be raining. They come out Friday. The week after that they come out Monday again. You just don't know when they're going to come. But you know what's interesting is if they follow that schedule, that's only 4 cuts in 5 weeks instead of a cut every week. You have to be careful so that you don't end up feeling like one of these. If it rains or storms, you can kind of understand them not coming out. But they don't come out at other times too. For example, once, one of their guys was sick for a couple of weeks, the guy that cuts the grass. You have a guy that cuts and a guy that trims. So I said, well, why don't you have the guy that trims cut the grass? Well, we're talking about a very highly specialized labor force. The guy that trims does not actually cut grass. He can't cut grass, he can only trim grass. So that month, they only come out maybe a couple times in a month. But you still pay them the same amount every month. Is that a $25 cut? Or is that $50 per cut? Makes you feel like one of these, you know? Another interesting thing about them. When they come to cut your grass, they're not good about looking around to see what's there. So once one of my sprinkler heads didn't go down, so they just cut it right off. Another time, there's a little spray bottle with a little propeller on it right here. It was right here in the yard, right there, right in the middle of the yard. Believe it or not, they didn't see that and they trampled that. If you talk to them about it, they'll point out to you it's your fault. You must clear everything from your yard. The challenge is you never know when they're coming. You can ask them, but they won't tell you. So if you leave something out there, they're not going to clear it. I suggested, hey, why don't you maybe just walk around the yard once and see what's in the yard? You can then move just in case, because I don't know when you're coming. They said, no, we can't do that. Now, I clocked it. It takes about 60 seconds to walk one lap around the yard looking around, but they can't afford to take that much time out of their day first. Give me 1 second here to mention some more things that I thought you'd like to know about this one. They sometimes forget to invoice you. If they don't send you an invoice and you don't pay it, then they get mad. They send you a nasty gram like your account is overdue. Why so rude? Why so mean when they didn't even invoice you? It's not what you'd call the best customer service. Now, in early November, I had a very interesting experience. They came out to cut my grass. Now, when they cut it, they bring out a monster mower. Not like what you and I would consider a normal lawnmower. Sweetie, be careful back there, okay? All those tire tracks, all right? A monster lawnmower. The mower actually gets stuck in my yard. I'm going to show you where he got stuck. Now, you might think to yourself, okay, well, then the guy should just lift it up and move it because there are two tires that were stuck in the yard. But no, their mowers are so big, the guy couldn't do that. In fact, let me show you. It happened right over here. You know, as you can see, when you come over here, this is not like it's at the bottom of a hill or there's a big hill here. It's right in the middle of a nice flat area. Their mower got stuck right here. Now, you look at yourself right now, or look at that right now, and you think, oh, that's not that bad. But let me show you the picture. This is what it looked like in November when they did it. Their monster truck was so huge that this thing was like 5 or 6 inches deep. I've repaired it myself now because, quite frankly, they wouldn't come out and do it. But this is the kind of thing they use. Now, to give you an idea of what they did, the guy tells me I offered to help him. I said, hey, why don't I help you push the thing out of here? And he says, no, this equipment's so heavy, 2 people could not attempt it. Now, I don't mean any harm, but let's say there was a car stuck in the snow. 2 people can push that. Their mower is so huge, they wouldn't even attempt to try to move it with 2 people. They said, no, no way, only a truck can move this thing out. So they come back a couple days later with a truck and tear up my whole backyard, driving through the backyard. This is what my yard looked like all over the yard. Tire tracks everywhere, just tore it all up. Careful, sweetie, don't hurt yourself in these big tire tracks. Tore up my yard with this big, huge piece of equipment. Now, it gets worse than that. They only cut my front yard that day. They didn't even cut my backyard. So, I asked them to come back. I sent them a letter. I included pictures. I sent it to them an email saying, hey, you guys tore up my yard. You didn't finish cutting my lawn. Can you come back and do it? Plus, if you did the math on these grass cuts I was supposed to get, they should have been cutting through all of November. But they didn't. Careful, sweetie. Don't hurt yourself in the mud tracks and tire tracks in the yard.
Too late.
Too late. Sorry. So it took them not 1, but 2 weeks to even respond to my request for them to come out and repair my yard and finish cutting my backyard, even though I've got to pay the same amount every month from them doing all of these things that are just not happening right now. So they come back with a truck one day when I wasn't looking, tear up my backyard. They even hit the basketball backboard over there, knocking it to the side, and they left it like that. For 2 weeks, I kept asking them to come back and repair it. They finally said, okay, we would. But did they come back in mid-November? No. They come back in late November? No. Careful with the mud track, sweetie. Did they come back in early December? No. Mid-December? No. Late December? No. Now, I'm asking them every 1 to 2 weeks to come back, and they would lie to me and tell me they would, but they never came back. But you know what's really cool about their service? You have to keep paying it every month. So even though they didn't come back in November, I paid for November. Even though they didn't come back in December, I paid for December. Then in January, they said, you know, if we come back and cut your grass now, it might damage the blades and their growth ability and growth potential. So at that point, I finally just fired them. Now, believe it or not, they then in January sent me another invoice and said, I have to pay for January and for February, even though they hadn't even cut my backyard since October. I have to pay for January and February, or they're going to sue me and take me to court. Wow. Our dedication to service quality and client satisfaction shows in their work. Yes, it does. Look at their work. Be careful, sweetie. Don't hurt yourself in these monster tire tracks, okay? I recommend affordable lawn care service. If you, 1, don't want to be the envy of your neighbors. If you'd rather be the embarrassment of your neighbors, they're great for you. I also recommend affordable lawn care service if you want to see your sprinkler heads and other property destroyed by their monster mowers. Or if you want your yard to look like you have a monster truck rally going on in your yard. If you want to see your kids get hurt playing in your own yard, what a great selection. And if they don't do what they promise and you want to fire them and you want to get taken to court for not paying them, for not doing anything for 3 or 4 months, I recommend you hire Affordable Lawn Care Service because they'll make you feel like this. What's funny is I actually interviewed my grass. I asked my grass, Grass, would you like if I hired another lawn service? And they said, yes, yes, we'd like that, yes. And I said, Grass, would you like it if I took care of the yard again? Yes, yes, we'd like that. And I said, Grass, would you like if I've hired Affordable Lawn Care Service to cut you for another year? And they said, no, no, oh no, Mr. Affordable Lawn Care Service, not anymore, no, 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 no.